Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I am JD Rebel Ruddle, and tonight we're going to do a podcast on who had the best entrance music in WCW. First off, I'm hoping y'all can hear this. Test run. This is number 10 on my list. Booker T, the Harlem Heat theme. I loved their entrance every time they came out. The pyro, whether it was with Sensational Sherry or Colonel Parker, or if it was just them by themselves. Harlem Heat was a great tag team, and they had the perfect entrance music for themselves. Number 9. Now it's playing. The Hollywood Blondes entrance theme. You can't get any better music for Stunning Steve Austin and Flying Brian. It was just great music. It really captivated their cocky jock attitude. Number 8. Every time I heard this music, I knew that I was going to see a great match. Scott and Rick Steiner they're up there on my top 5 tag teams of all time, for sure. The song is called Steinerized. Number 7. Oh, we got an ad. How about that? Thank you, YouTube. It's going to have the WCW entrance, the cheesy freaking logo they had back in the day. Anyways, here it is. This is my number 7. When Sid Vicious came out to Iron Man, I was sold on that. I wasn't a big Ozzy Osbourne fan at the time, but I loved that song, and I loved him coming out to that. It's just I don't know. Maybe I think it's kind of the way he walked to the ring. That song, he really knew how to carry himself to the beat. How about that? That's my honest opinion. He knew how to carry himself to the song, and I think that's what made it. And then, of course, number 6. And if you can't hear that, that is the black and white BNWO. Number 5. I have a tie for number 5. This is Seek and Destroy by Metallica, and it was Sting's theme. And of course, the tie for number 5 Sting's in his song, Man Called Sting. Alright. Number 4. Goldberg's WCW theme, Invasion. And I've actually got the CD to the, what is it called? Mayhem? I think it's just called Mayhem. And it's got a lot of the songs from the wrestlers there and some of the theme music that they used for like intros to Nitro and whatnot. Pretty good CD. If you haven't heard the songs on there, I'm sure that there's a playlist here on YouTube where you can go listen to it. And if you want to buy it, I'm sure you can find it on Amazon. Number 3 for me. Lex Luger, the total package. I think the moment I was sold on this was probably the first moment they played it, because it's fueled with energy, and I love that about it. My number 2 theme. Oh, we're gonna have ads again. Isn't that nice? Wolfpack, NWO Wolfpack. It was just one of the coolest themes ever. I struggled with this, and then the one I'm getting ready to play. And as much as I got excited when this music hit, I got goosebumps every time I heard this one. And if you don't know that one, that's all I gotta do. That's all I gotta do. Because you know what that is. Silent but violent. Limousine riding, jet flying, Rolex wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing. Son of a gun. Woo! And that is my top 10 entrance songs for WCW. And by the way, um, I've already linked this song into another video. Go check it out, though. It is Zombie 13. Their cover of the Four Horsemen theme song is terrific. Please go check it out. I talked to him earlier, and I was like, that is just so great. You know, he's real appreciative. So go check out Zombie 13. They covered the Four Horsemen theme, and it is just out of this world. All right. I'm not done yet. We got one more topic to cover tonight before the end of this podcast. This one's going to be a little bit longer. Who is the Mount Rushmore of the 1990s WWF? I don't mean the Attitude Era. I don't mean when we had Hogan and Warrior and Flair at the beginning of the 90s. I mean all together from the beginning of the 90s to the end of the 90s to the 99. You know, right before The Rock got all Hollywood and went off to, make movies. And who is my Mount Rushmore? Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, Mick Foley, and Bret Hart. Nobody did more work than these guys. I mean, I know Shawn Michaels did, and I'll get to that in another podcast. I just kind of felt like out of the tenure out of these guys, I that's what I counted into my decision was tenure, longevity, whatever you want to call it, championship runs, significant rivalries, and just hard work. And all these guys put in such amazing work, whether it was technical work, by Bret Hart, or if it was the brawling by Stone Cold Steve Austin, the hardcore style of Mick Foley, or the powerhouse and wonder that we got with the Undertaker. Um, he was just so many things wrapped into one, and all these guys really were. But that would be my Mount Rushmore for the '90s WWF. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret the Hitman Hart, Mick Foley, and The Undertaker. Okay. And then I had one last thing here, and then that'll be the end of the podcast. Who is your Mount Rushmore for the new millennium of WWE? And this qualifies as anything from 2000 to now. And mine ended up being CM Punk, Edge, John Cena, and Chris Benoit. Now, some of you might think, why wasn't Eddie on there? And I'm not saying Eddie shouldn't be on there. I'm just saying, out of all these guys, nobody gave more than these guys right here to the business to perfect their craft, to work their ass off, to entertain you, the fans. And they broke their bodies, their backs, their lives, even some of them, for your entertainment. And even though I'm not trying to condone anything that the crippler Chris Benoit did as a human being, I'm going to discuss him as a wrestler on this podcast. We're going to do an entire podcast on Chris Benoit. Um, I think it's next month or possibly in November. I'll have to check my schedule. But Chris Benoit was a great wrestler. No matter what the rest of us think of him as a human being, we'll never really know what happened. And I will always respect and admire Chris Benoit's work. And we will honor him on this page. And if you have a problem with it, hey, you know what to do, don't you? Okay, so that did it for tonight's podcast. I've discussed the Mount Rushmore for the new millennium of WWE wrestlers, and I've done the Mount Rushmore for who I thought we should be there for the WWF 90s wrestlers. And we also touched on who had the best entrance music in WCW. If you would like to know any of my other things that I have interest in doing the podcast on, please shoot me a message. Text me. Some of you know me, some of you don't. Some of you sit there with your thumb up your ass and you enjoy it. But that's your own prerogative. And I'll talk to you later, Ricardo. Have a good night.